Welcome to Super Bowl 59 on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast, building up towards the big game with all our best player props and our predictions and anything else from the rest of the season as well. Plenty going on in this show, so stick around, get yourself a drink, get yourself snacks. We're going to be here for the next half an hour, 40 minutes, talking everything Super Bowl 59 down in New Orleans. Luke Elder alongside Tom Collins. I am pumped as an overinflated tyre.
Wow, that's quite pumped. I am also pumped. Did you watch the Pro Bowl before we get into the Super Bowl?
I saw like 2 minutes of it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it all because there isn't much here to do in the evenings. I'm still abroad. And let's just say it wasn't the most enthralling action. Look, I didn't mind the flag football game, but the rest of the stuff was a bit here or there. So I'm even more pumped to get this final game of the NFL season underway. The negative, though, and I don't want to bring up a negative so early in the podcast, is that then we have numerous months with no NFL, and that is just heartbreaking.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, love the Super Bowl, great. But then in the fourth quarter, you start thinking, not going to do this for a while. This is... Maybe let's go to overtime. Let's do some overtime. We want more. Then we have to wait through until, September to really get anything whatsoever. However... we are going to be here for the entirety of the off-season. So if you are a regular on Turf and Touchdowns, stick with us. If you are new, very welcome to the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. We are going to be here throughout the entirety of the off-season, and also we'll provide our horse racing picks as well on our separate podcast. But that is all on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. How's our road to 500 subscribers going, Tom?
It's actually going very well, but we're not there yet. How many do we need?
We need 10. I don't know. I'm stuck for languages now.
Good effort.
We're going to stop at 2. But yes, we need 10 subscribers to make 500. Our goal at the start of the month, I think we're on like 430, but our goal at the start of the month was to make 500 subscribers by the Super Bowl. So if you are watching this, if you're one of the 60% of our viewers that watches our podcast and doesn't subscribe, but you're thinking, oh, these guys are all right, I like these guys, click subscribe down below. You'll be doing us a massive favour, and we'll be really happy if we reach 500. And at some point in this episode, we're going to be giving away our first Listener League spot. So keep on listening for that. It'll be our Fantasy Football League for next year. Plenty of people have inquired about it. We'll be giving away our first Listener League position, which is exciting. We'll have, is it 10 team or 12 team?
It depends how many people are interested, but to earn a spot, you have to do something special. That's the thing. And we're just giving away the first spot in this podcast, as you say. More details to come. Stick around.
Exactly that. Let us tell you about our wonderful sponsors, SBK, who have been with us throughout the entirety of the NFL season and for our latest horse racing pods as well. You can go over to SBK right now. If you deposit £10, bet £10, you get £40 in free bets. That's ahead of the Super Bowl. I just wish, Tom, that they were doing something special for the Super Bowl, but I don't know. I don't know.
I've been on the line, don't you worry. And I know that several different other offers are also coming around for the Super Bowl. They've already confirmed that there is a 50% boost in the first touchdown scorer market. So that if that interests you, obviously you get good prices in that market anyway. You're going to get even better prices, 50% winnings boost. So that's a fantastic offer that SBK are producing. There are several more potentially in the pipeline in sub-markets, yet to be confirmed. So I can't say it on the podcast. But if you want to find out about those, and if you want to take advantage of the two that Luke's already said, including the new customer offer, the bet £10, get £40 in free bets, link below. This is the last time we're going to say it for this NFL season. So link below in the description. Click that. It takes you straight to the sign-up page. Easy as that, and it really helps us out as well.
I'm a bit emotional that that's the last click of the season. It's been a long ride. It's been a long ride.
It has. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
First touchdown scorer, who's it going to be?
Saquon Barkley.
It will not be Saquon Barkley.
Who do you think it will be?
It will be Xavier Worthy.
Okay.
Who we'll get into in a little bit. You know what else we need to do for one final time this season?
Go on.
Just a bit thirsty.
Oh, see, I don't think I qualify for this, do I?
No. I'm trying to go through the entirety of the playoffs with play of the day winners.
What happens if I am just thirsty?
Doesn't matter. Sit there and suffer. Sit there and suffer with your knockoff Fanta, because Patrick Mahomes managed to achieve over 4.5 rushing attempts. Shout out to Peter, by the way, who was watching our show, and he had 17-1 on Patrick Mahomes over 9.5 rushing attempts, and he had like 11, I think. So fantastic work on that.
Yeah, excellent play.
Mm.
And to you as well. Well done for a winning player of the day yet again.
And also, he did add 2 kneel downs at the end of the game, which counted for 2 extra rushing attempts, which is great. That is a cheat code again that you can use in the Super Bowl. Let's take a look at the season for both of these teams. Both of them have been dominant pretty much from start to finish. Look, the Chiefs have been a very good team, yada yada. We know that the Chiefs are a good team. They've done the normal Chiefs thing though, where they've looked good, but they've not looked exceptional. You wouldn't watch them week in, week out when they're getting away with things in just managing to scrape home against Denver. They've had a few calls go their way, which we won't get too much into just yet. You wouldn't watch them thinking Super Bowl winners, but then you get to the playoffs and they suddenly turn things up. They do it every single year. They're going to have their supporters in the Super Bowl. They're also going to have people that take away from them. I think it helps that Philadelphia also made it, and they're not the most popular of teams.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start with the Chiefs. So as you say, like they've just done what Chiefs do. They've had a very good year. Their only defeat in the regular season. I'm not counting Week 18, by the way, because they didn't play any of their starters. So whatever. Their only actual defeat came against the Bills, where they lost by 2 scores. And then in the postseason, they've got it done. I mean, I've been very downbeat on them at several points throughout the year, noticeably in the last couple of weeks in the playoffs. They have had their fair share of lucky calls, and they've been fortunate in a couple of the regular season games with missed late field goals by the opposition team, or certain things happening in the final minute or two in the fourth quarter. That being said, I've been proved wrong by them on several occasions. They've made it to yet another Super Bowl. They're a fantastic team. I didn't think they'd get this far, not only because generally I think they are a touch overrated in the regular season anyway. But when Rashee Rice went down, they just had no one out wide. It was basically Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, and that was the offense. So they've done exceptionally well. I think Andy Reid is yet again proving himself to be one of the best coaches, if not the best, in the NFL. And maybe they'll record 3 consecutive Super Bowl wins. That's to be seen.
Yeah, it's not just that either, that they've had 1 or 2 guys go out. Obviously, Rashee Rice got hurt by Patrick Mahomes, accidentally, obviously, on a play. But they also lost Isaiah Pacheco early on in the year. They wanted to go forward with Carson Steele. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was out at the time as well. They brought back in Kareem Hunt, and somehow they made Kareem Hunt look like old-school Kareem Hunt once again. And to this day, he still continues to outplay and outsnap Isaiah Pacheco, which is a fascinating part of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and more to come on that for sure. By the way, I completely forgot that Carson Steele was even on the Chiefs roster. I remember that week. I remember that week everyone was adding him in fantasy on waivers. Carson Steele. And then he fumbled the ball, and then that was the last we ever saw of Steele.
I needed Carson Steele that week to land a 3-pick parlay. And I think it was either him to get a rushing touchdown, or I think it was a rushing touchdown. And then he comes out first play. He's like, oh, okay, 3-yard gain. Next, it's balls on the floor. Carson, go on, just sit on the sidelines for a bit. It's like, no, God, that could not have gone any worse. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was P. Ryan they gave the ball to for the rest of the game, but it was just a real sad state of affairs. Do you know who haven't had an issue rushing the ball this year, though, Tom?
Yeah, it's the Philadelphia Eagles, isn't it?
Correct. Saquon Barkley has been absolutely outstanding so far this season, albeit, we'll say, in the championship game, he had a fantastic game, didn't he? Brilliant game. Didn't cover his rushing line, though. His rushing line was 132, I saw at one point. He only got 118, so it was an off day for Saquon Barkley. That also factors in him rushing in a 60-yard touchdown on the Philadelphia Eagles' first play from scrimmage. I don't think they'll start this hot this time around, and also Kansas City are better against the run.
Yeah, they are much, much better than Washington are. Look, the acquisition of Barkley's been the big tick in the box for Philly, hasn't it? He's been the difference this year. And that's nothing really against Miles Sanders or Kenneth Gainwell or any previous running back that they've had. But Saquon Barkley is just different gear, and he has carried this offense. The Eagles have proven that you don't need to be a pass-heavy offense to win NFL games. The league was really trending towards the pass over the last couple of years. Running backs were on the decline. Teams weren't even running the ball more than 5 or 6 times on some occasions. Bring in Saquon, run the ball with him and Hurts. Look what the team can do. The Eagles have been fantastic all year, albeit they have overcome a couple of blips in the regular season. what's more, it's not just the acquisition of Barkley, it's the brilliant drafting of their two
Mhm.
corners, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, in the draft last year, first and second round picks. They've been the difference in the secondary. Last season, the Eagles were very gettable in their secondary. Deep passes would be their downfall, but this year, that's not the case. I thought they've been very good in the postseason. Yes, last time maybe against the Commanders, they didn't have the best of oppositions. And in the regular season, maybe they didn't have the difficult schedule that some other teams had. That being said, they've managed to progress all the way through. And when you've got Barkley, you've got a very good chance of winning. Did you know it's his birthday on the Super Bowl?
Someone else's birthday as well. I think Devonta Smith. I think it's his birthday.
I was going to say, is it yours?
Or
But that was a
no,
joke from a
no,
couple
no,
of weeks ago.
no. It's not. It's Cooper DeJean's birthday on the Super Bowl
Is it?
Sunday. Cooper DeJean and Saquon Barkley. They're birthday
Mm.
buddies. And they're both. I mean, I don't think they're going out for their birthday, but they're doing something else anyway. Do you remember back end of last season what the Philadelphia Eagles looked like? Because we were sitting here thinking, well, Nick Sirianni might not be around next year. They were in disarray. I think they lost their last 6 games, and they just looked awful. Fair play to them for turning things around, but they've picked up new guys by way of trades, by way of free agency, by way of drafting, so well, like you say, and they just look a completely different ball team this year.
Yeah, they really do, and this is how the great thing about the NFL. Obviously, with the draft being in the reverse order of the league standings and also free agency, you can pick up players that completely turn a team around in the space of a year. If we're talking about football, not American football, but soccer, if you're in the US, it takes so long for a team to really get better and better, like Man City or Liverpool or Arsenal, whoever you want. Whereas in the NFL, it can switch in a year, which is why the league is so competitive and which is why it's probably the best punting puzzle of all sports, purely because you never really know what's going to happen.
It is. Do you know what else is something that you never really know what's going to happen?
Go on.
Fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do our listener league. Let's
Let's.
give away the first position of our listener league right now. We were thinking, what can we get people to do? What can we get you guys to do to earn the place? You don't just want to go leave a comment down below and then you've got a chance to be in. Now, I must stress as well, this doesn't ensure that you have a place in the listener league. But
Mm-hmm.
if you get the answer right, if you get a correct prediction, then you're in the hat and you'll be going into the hat for the listener league. So what we've decided, leave a player down below who you think will score a touchdown. If they score a touchdown, you're in the hat. That is all we're asking. So leave a comment down below. I think blah, 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 will score a touchdown at any time. Then you will be straight in the hat. You get one selection. So if you are putting 2 people down below, if you think Saquon Barkley will get a touchdown, if you think Travis Kelce will get a touchdown, you have to say which one is your selection and which one is going to go forward as well. And also, it will help massively if you are subscribed. If you are subscribed, we might lean a bit more favourably on you. You might get an extra slot in the wheel. I don't know. We'll work that part out. But we'll have 3 places filled after the Super Bowl anyway, Tom, because it'll be me, you, and another.
Yeah, if you love fantasy football, this is an easy opportunity to get involved and obviously be in a league with us too and some other subscribers as well at some point. Obviously, many people may go Saquon Barkley because he is around 1 to 2 in the anytime touchdown market, and there is nothing wrong with that. If you like Barkley to score a touchdown in this game, literally just whack his name in the comments down below and you're immediately entered. However, it won't just be you that's putting Barkley in. So if Barkley does score a touchdown, you're going to be amongst a pool, likely, depending on how many people comment, and then we're going to have to draw out the hat. Whereas if you go for someone left field and they score a touchdown, the likelihood is bang, you're in.
I mean, let's just say you put Carson Steele in. Let's just say Carson Steele finds the end zone and Saquon Barkley doesn't. Let's say Jalen Hurts steals his touchdown. Suddenly, you're sitting pretty there with Carson Steele, Super Bowl MVP. But we won't go too far into that. Leave your comments down below with anytime touchdown scorers if you want to be in the Listener League. Thank you very much for all the support you've shown in the last few weeks regards to the Listener League. That will be coming up in the new season. Before we get into selections, Tom, who wins the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to have a bet in this market. I'm not going to have a bet in the outright who's going to win. But I'll be rooting for Philly. I think Kansas probably win, though. I mean, they're just so hard to beat in the postseason and the Super Bowl themselves. I don't really know what it is. It's just like the Andy Reid factor. They deserve to be favourites just based on their recent history. Patrick Mahomes always seems to pull out of the fire. And to be honest with you, I do think the Eagles have more offensive weapons. However, if I wanted the ball in one quarterback's hands in the fourth quarter with a drive to win with 2 minutes to go, I'm going Mahomes.
Easily. Easily Mahomes as well. There's no disrespect to Jalen Hurts. He's a fantastic
Yeah.
quarterback. But this is going to lead us nicely into our first selections, because my first selection is the Kansas City Chiefs to win the game. They're 4-5. They are favourites on the morning line. They're 1.5-point favourites at the moment as well. I think they're just getting better. Look, they look good against the Bills. Yes, they might have had one or two calls go their way. The Kincaid drop was terrible from his side. But the Chiefs, we've been saying it all year, they just find a way to get the job done. Last week, or 2 weeks ago now, was the first time in the season that the Chiefs went over 30 points. They'd scored 30 points like 3 times. They finally went over it and hit 32. I think that's a massive factor. I think they're getting better all the while. As I say, Mahomes has been playing far, far better. You look at his performances. I mean, we're all fantasy football fans. You look at his performances in the fantasy season. You were benching Mahomes, quite frankly. You were finding someone else to play over Patrick Mahomes. Last few weeks, though, he's been absolutely fantastic. Look, against the Bills, I put Mahomes up as a runner more than a passer, and he had 11 carries of 43. He also found the end zone twice on the ground, and obviously passing, he was 245 yards for a touchdown as well. He's been playing far, far better. The Chiefs' defense as well has been good. It is an area that I'm a little worried about, honestly, because I was looking at taking Saquon Barkley on the unders. His line is 110. But James Cook ran the ball well against the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago. James Cook averaged 6.5 yards per carry. He found the end zone a couple of times as well. And even against the Texans, I know Joe Mixon, he's not the most efficient back. He never has been and he never will be. But he still averaged 4.9 yards per carry. So maybe this will be a game that Saquon Barkley can be used. That is going to be something that is integral to Philadelphia, even having a chance of winning this game. But when it comes down to it, I think the Chiefs are just the better team. They've been here before. They beat the Eagles a couple of years ago in this game as well. I think they'll do it once again. So my first selection, Tom, will be the Chiefs to take the game at 4-5. And Gary in the comments, you're welcome.
It's about time he had some respite after the pain that I've been causing Gary over the last few weeks, saying that I don't think the Chiefs will be progressing. I'm not against you. I do think the Chiefs are the most likely winner. The price is probably fair. I just can't bring myself to bet the Chiefs. There's something there. I just can't do it.
There's that, but I also don't want Philadelphia fans to be happy.
There is that too. However, the Eagles did beat the Packers, and then we could say that we went out to the Eagles, the Super Bowl champ. I don't know. There's something there that gives me a little bit of hope that Philly win, but there you go.
No, don't be that guy. That sucks. Tom, give me your first selection for the Super Bowl, please, and thank you.
Yes, 3 player props for me. We'll start, as you've just talked about Kansas, let's start with the Kansas City players. And I'm going to go for Kareem Hunt as my first bet in Super Bowl 59. It's Kareem Hunt over 11.5 rushing attempts, not rushing yards, rushing attempts. This is 10-11, so we need 12 or more rushing attempts in this game from Kareem Hunt. Now, I made Isaiah Pacheco rushing yards overs one of my plays, maybe it was my play of the day actually, 3 or 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago I think. And he only had 5 carries, and I was sat there watching the game. I was in disarray. I was like, what is going on? The Chiefs aren't now putting Pacheco in as RB1, which was kind of the plan. Coming back from an injury, he was getting healthier. The guy last year that kind of carried them to the Super Bowl, had a great Super Bowl. The season before, exactly the same. They were barely using Pacheco. Kareem Hunt took the majority of the calls there. In the fourth quarter, when Kansas were basically struggling to maintain their lead, they looked like they were getting a bit nervy and the lead was shrinking, they went to Hunt. Pacheco was on the sidelines. He wasn't getting any action. I like Kareem Hunt to continue that dominance in the backfield. He's a guy that they're going to be using on short yardage downs. He's going to be used by the goal line. He's going to be used in the fourth quarter, judged on what they've done in recent weeks. Therefore, over 11.5 rushing attempts seems very fair. Even if at half time he's only got 5 or 4 carries, which obviously we don't want, we want more than that. But even if he does, I think in the second half that's going to drastically increase, judged by the way this game is likely to pan out. He is the crucial down guy. He is the one that they trust. He has the best vision. He gets small in between the tackles, which Pacheco doesn't do. He gets big like a bull and tries to power through. It's just like Kareem Hunt has that extra angle for the Chiefs at the moment. As I say, we just need 12 or more carries in this game. I really like this play for Kareem, and I think he's going to be used a lot. Now, if you go back to the recent 2 Super Bowls where the Chiefs have won, the Chiefs have run the ball 30 times and 26 times in those games. You know, we all know them as this passing offense: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, but they run the ball a lot in the Super Bowl, dragging out the clock, dominating the time of possession. And I think that's very much going to be the case here. If they run the ball 25 to 30 times once again, Hunt is definitely having 12 or more carries. There's no doubt about that. He has had 12 or more carries in 9 of his 13 regular season games this year. He had 17 carries against the Bills. I like Kareem Hunt here. He should get 12 or more carries. 10 to 11 is a good price.
My only concern in any way about that is, do you think Isaiah Pacheco's been a little bit hurt still since he came back? And do you think the 2 weeks is enough for him to get a little better?
Well, that was my exact angle when they were coming off the bye in the divisional round of the playoffs. And then he had 5 carries.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, more time has obviously lapsed, but I don't think so. I think they're going to stick with Hunt. It's been the way forward for them throughout the whole postseason and regular season, actually. So I think they'll stick with it. That's not to say Pacheco won't have his carries. He will. I think his line is around 10.5 rushing attempts as well. But I'm just more confident the Hunt will be used in the more crucial situations and therefore boost the amount of carries he has.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I don't hate that at all with regards to Kareem Hunt, which is something we did not think we'd be saying regards to him in a Super Bowl this season, but he's been very good for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to let you pick. Would you rather a pick from the Kansas City Chiefs side, or would you rather a pick from the Philadelphia Eagles side?
I would rather I go again, because I know your 2 Kansas City Chiefs ones are linked,
This is
so you can go
outrageous.
straight after.
Look at you, it's like, I'm the Super Bowl episode. Pick me. It's ridiculous. Right, go on then. Fine.
It will make more sense to the viewers, don't you worry. Right, selection number 2, player prop. For myself, is sticking with the Chiefs theme, as I've already touched on. There is an Eagles player to come, so don't you worry about that. Right, this one is not as confident as Kareem Hunt. I want to put that out there. This is a bit more left field. When everyone thinks of the Chiefs offense, you think Travis Kelsey. What do you think the Eagles defensive coordinator is going to be thinking? They're going to be thinking, we've got to try and stop Travis Kelsey. How do we stop Kelsey? Well, we stop those middle to short routes in the zone where he stops in between coverage, gets the ball, and then runs for yards after catch. That's what Kelsey does. That is his MO. However, the Chiefs can't throw out wide necessarily, I don't think, because you've got Worthy, who's a very good receiver. You've got DeAndre Hopkins. You have Hollywood Brown as well. But the Eagles' secondary is just so good. I don't think Mahomes will be constantly throwing deep balls. So he's going to be looking to Kelsey. But if Kelsey's covered, Mahomes is going to go to tight end 2, Noah Gray. Give me Noah Gray over 1.5 receptions. We just need 2 catches from Gray. That is it. Now, if you look through his resume this season, maybe you're thinking, well, I don't know about Noah Gray. He doesn't get much production. Well, that's, of course, going to be the case because Travis Kelsey always gets the production as a tight end. But he does turn up in crucial situations. If I give you some stats now, Noah Gray this year has covered this line, so 2 or more catches, in 12 of his 19 games. That equates to 63%. Now, if you're a punter, you should know that 63% converted to odds is very short. Much shorter than 23 to 20, which is the price you're getting here on over 1.5 receptions. That equates to around 43%, 44%. So you've got a big edge there. If Noah Gray can continue that trend, he should be able to land this bet. Plus, why would Mahomes be looking out wide? He's going for the tight ends. Travis Kelsey's not going to always get the ball. Noah Gray, over 1.5 receptions, 23 to 20.
And with this, you get to add in the Andy Reid Super Bowl magic as well. How many catches? Let's play the game. How many catches last year did Noah Gray have in the Super Bowl?
Was it 2?
Correct, 2. But Andy Reid used everyone. Even Mecole Hardman, Marquez Valdes-Scantling was used a ton. Andy Reid uses players that he wouldn't necessarily use. Carson Steele, I'm looking at you. That's not going to happen. But he does draw up some magic things regards to the Super Bowl. So, you know what? I don't hate it. And also, do you know why I kind of like that? Because the Philadelphia Eagles suck. They suck against tight ends. Last week, I mean, Zach Ertz had, I'm just going to count them, 157 catches in one game. That's how many catches he had. That's what it felt like anyway. Every single play went to Zach Ertz, which was great for us. I put up over 3.5 catches, I think, for Zach Ertz, and it was in after like 2 seconds. The Philadelphia Eagles, they've struggled against tight ends for a little while now. Basically, since the start of the playoffs. The regular season, they were fine. In the playoffs, they've really not been good against tight ends. It could be a Kelsey game, but Noah Gray is 100% going to be there. I've got a case of deja vu. What would you rather, Tom? Kansas City Chiefs selection or a Philadelphia Eagles selection?
Give me your 2 KC ones now.
2 KC ones. I'm going to be riding as well on the Andy Reid is going to do something a little bit fun in this game, because I'm going to go Xavier Worthy times DOS. See? Another language right there. That's
I like
three
that.
languages. Trilingual in this podcast. We're going to go Xavier Worthy twice. The first one is over 5.5 rushing yards, which I think is stupid low for Xavier Worthy. This is a guy, he was brought in to hopefully be the Tyreek Hill replacement, albeit a few years after. He's fast. He's very talented. He's an exciting player. He's a gadget player. He's dynamic. He's got better the longer the season has gone on. But they use him in the rushing game. I know a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now, he only had one carry. He went backwards for 8 yards. The play just didn't work. Last week he had a couple of carries. 2 weeks ago. Why do I keep saying last week? It was 2 weeks ago.
Profile's a killer.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't there. Luke. Give up. Against Buffalo, he had 2 carries for 16 yards. Again, it's not massive, but he's still being used. Now, Andy Reid always has a trick just up his sleeve, just something, be it Philly, be it Wasp, whatever it is. They use players where they're not normally used in the playoffs. And Xavier Worthy is normally used here. Xavier Worthy had a high of 3 carries in the regular season. He had that a few times, to be fair, so it wasn't just a one-off. He managed 2 carries against Buffalo, as I say, for 16 yards. Let's go back to last year's Super Bowl. Rashee Rice had 2 carries. That's not something that he normally had last season. He didn't do much with the ball, but he's not Xavier Worthy. Go back to the Super Bowl in 2023. Sky Moore had a carry in the Super Bowl. Again, that's not something Sky Moore normally did. In fairness, Sky Moore normally didn't do anything, so it was a positive in that regard. I think Xavier Worthy is going to absolutely crush this line of 5.5. I'm not going to say he's going to go out there and get like 7 carries for 100 yards, but I think he'll have about 3 carries for 50. I can see him breaking off a big one early on, because they'll want to set the tone, and they'll want to do that with Xavier Worthy. And I think that carry might go to the end zone. So I'm going to incorporate Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown at 6-4. I think that's a fantastic price. Look, this is a guy that I've been waiting for a few weeks in the Super Bowl. I've had these sorts of bets on my mind for a little while now, just in case Kansas City got here. But Xavier Worthy's being used a lot in the Chiefs offense recently. Last 4 games, last 5 games even, 11 targets, 9 targets, 6 targets, and 7 targets. He scored in 4 of the last 5 games as well. So he's being used in important parts of the game. And also Patrick Mahomes, he's trusting him more. He's taken a lot more chances on Xavier Worthy. Philadelphia, look, they're a good defense, but they allow chunk plays. They did it against Washington. Terry McLaurin had a 36-yard catch. De'Ami Brown had a 24-yard catch. They had a whole ton of chunk plays as well they gave up against the Rams a few weeks back. Xavier Worthy will have plays drawn up, especially for him. It will just be a case of when do they use these plays in the game. Honestly, receiving game, I don't really care. If it happens, it happens. But if Xavier Worthy is taking a 6-yard touchdown, then we're going to be partying. I think Xavier Worthy is going to have a big game. I think he's going to be a huge part of this Super Bowl, Tom.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not as hot on him as you are, but I can certainly see it, especially the rushing yards. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. The touchdown, it will be interesting to see what Andy Reid does with Worthy. I always think that these 2 Eagles corners are best when they're defending along the touchline. The sideline, sorry. They're very good at keeping the wide receiver pinned up against the sideline and therefore not enabling them to get a catch. You run crossing routes on them, that is the way forward. That's what we saw last 2 weeks ago and the week before that as well. I would be surprised if Worthy was running a few crosses, posts, corners, etc. I think he'll be pretty useful if they do that. So let's see what the game plan is. I certainly don't hate it by any means. He looks a good wide receiver.
Now, that's been a lot of Kansas City all in one. So if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan and you've been watching up until this point, let's do something for you. Let's give something Philadelphia Eagles back to the community. Tom, what's your Eagles play?
Yeah, finally onto the Eagles side, as you say. Just one player prop, and it's involving Devontae Smith. I want to bet Devontae Smith over 4.5 receptions. Again, receptions, not receiving yards. 10 to 11. So we need 5 or more catches here. 3 postseason games so far for the Eagles. Guess how many catches Smith has had in all of those postseason games?
Well, seeing as the line is 4.5, I'm going to go 5.
I'm going to throw you a curveball because the actual answer is 4. In all 3 of those games.
This is a terrible bet. Have you seen the form he sucks? It's not even a birthday.
In all three postseason games, he's had 4 targets and 4 catches. He's hauled in every single target, but it's only been 4. That's why the line is set to 4.5. However, that's not going to continue here, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, the Chiefs have an excellent corner in Trent McDuffie, one of the best in the league. Who's he going to be covering? AJ Brown. So Jalen Hurts is probably not going to be going to AJ too much, I don't think. Look, he may get him on the slants and he may get them on the hitches, but AJ down the field is probably not going to be the way that Philly anticipate or draw up this offense. Therefore, they've got to look for someone else. Now, Dallas Goedert is a very good option, and I think there might be more to come on him in this podcast. But I like Devontae Smith here. I think he's going to be very well matched up against Jalen Watson on the other side of the field. 3 times Smith has played the Chiefs in his career. In 2021, Devontae Smith had 7 catches for 122 yards. Obviously, yardage isn't a pointer here to this bet, but we want over 5 receptions on Sunday. He had 7 receptions that day in 2021. In Super Bowl 57, when the Eagles played the Chiefs and they lost in overtime, he had 7 catches for 100 yards. And then in 2023, he played against the Chiefs again, and he had 6 catches for 99 yards. Stellar production for Smith in 3 previous games against the Chiefs, largely due to Trent McDuffie's presence in the backfield and him covering AJ Brown. I think that's very much going to be the case here. They're going to have to air the ball out plenty. Obviously, they are a run-first offense. We already know this. We've talked about Saquon Barkley. We've talked about the RPOs with Jalen Hurts in the past as well. But they're going to have to air the ball out on some occasions. I mean, Jalen Hurts is likely to throw the ball probably 20 to 30 times, depending on the game script. He's going to be targeting Devontae Smith more than 4 times in the Super Bowl. Considering his catch ratio to targets, I think he covers this line. I think he gets at least 5 receptions.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a big part. Look, we both think Kansas City win this game. So Philadelphia are going to have to play from behind at some point in that, unless it's a real Kansas City special. But Devontae Smith, I like. I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of a niche one. I was looking at special markets last night, or just to see what sort of going on and who was offering what. But there was a market that I found on a player to have the most receiving yards in the playoffs. Now, obviously, that factors in yards already accrued and also yards potentially still to come. I think McLaurin was a heavy favourite for most touchdowns in the playoffs because he looks a touch uncatchable. I'm not sure how far ahead he is, but he's had a very good playoffs. Obviously, he's not here in the Super Bowl, so he's done already. Who do you think is favourite for leading or to be the leading receiver in terms of yards in the playoffs?
Are they in this game in the Super Bowl?
I'm saying nothing.
Well, I can't remember what every player's got so far, so this is difficult. Okay, I'm going to anticipate it's someone in the Super Bowl. Is it Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, Dallas Goedert. I mean, there was a clue because he's my final selection.
Yeah, do you know what happened there? In my head, I was panicking. I was going, what is this question? He has thrown me an absolute curveball. And then I thought, well, I know there's one bet left, and I know it's Dallas Goedert, so Goedert?
Yeah, Dallas Goedert is the short price favourite to be leading receiver in terms of yards in the playoffs. For good reason. He's been used so much. Again, we used him a couple of weeks ago against Washington because Washington also are not a fantastic team against tight ends. But Dallas Goedert's line is 50.5. So the line is creeping up and up and up and up and up. It is getting higher all the time. But again, it deserves to be. So far in the playoffs, he's had 47 yards, 56 and 85. He's gone over this line twice already in the playoffs. He's serving as a top target for the Eagles. You look against Washington, he had 8 targets. That was joint leading in the team alongside AJ Brown. He was second in yards as well, obviously with the 85 yards. A big factor is as well, Kansas City have not been good all season against tight ends. We've said it time and time again. The way that you take advantage from Kansas City in a betting perspective is to use the tight end against them. We saw Dalton Schultz, and again, we used him earlier on in the playoffs. He had like a 34-yard catch very early on. His line was 34.5. He went on to get 60 plus. 3 catches to tight ends from Buffalo last week. Again, it wasn't fantastic, but tight ends from Buffalo have sucked all year. I mean, Dalton Kincaid has not been the guy that we wanted him to be. Dawson Knox came back in, and He's had a catch here and there. Obviously, Dalton Kincaid did have that real bad drop right at the end of the game to effectively ice things for Kansas City. And as I say, Dalton Schultz, 4 catches for 63 a few weeks ago. Dallas Goedert is one of the main guys in this offense. You mentioned about Trent McDuffie. You mentioned about them trying to lock the bigger guys on the outside down. I think Dallas Goedert will have room to roam. I don't necessarily think he'll have massive plays. I don't think he'll have a 30-plus yard catch, but I think he'll get a fair few catches, and I think he'll clear this line of 50 and a half. So, from the Philadelphia Eagles side, Tom, give me the potential leading receiver in the playoffs, Dallas Goedert.
I like it. I do. I think this is the second time, actually, in the playoffs you've put him up, isn't it?
It might even be third, honestly.
You do know he's still available in a dynasty league. He's on the trade block if you want him.
I don't want him. I've got Mark Andrews. We're all good.
Oh, the old man with old man legs.
Yeah, we got Mark Andrews. That is all of our selections. All of our selections for the Super Bowl. 4 from my side, 3 from Tom. Just a reminder before we recap on all selections, we'll get to that in a moment. If you do want to join our listener league, this is your chance. This is the final time we'll mention it on the podcast. Leave a comment down below with who you think will be an anytime touchdown scorer. You get 1 selection. So if you put 2 names down, please label which player it is that is your selection and your entry for the competition. Otherwise, we'll just take the first guy that you put down, and it could be Carson Steele. You never know. It could be if someone wins with Carson Steele. If Carson Steele gets a touchdown, I'm going to say this. If Carson Steele scores, whoever comments it down below as their entry, they're in. It doesn't
You're
matter.
Desperate.
It doesn't matter.
You were desperate for Carson Steele. Mate, it's not going to happen. They could comment Carson Steele as much as they want, but it's not going to happen. Surely.
But if it does, you're in. Immediately in. You don't go into the hat, in. You get a spot.
What you've done there is you've gone, there's this guy who's potentially 100 to 1 to get an anytime touchdown. If you fancy it, you can whack it down there and you're in.
I bet he's not 100 to 1 at Carson Steele. He should be.
But he might as well be, yeah.
Imagine if... Does he still return?
No.
No, that stuff as well. Carson Steele is... Go on, what price do you reckon he is?
14.
No, 40.
Is it? Okay, I mean, that's more realistic. They have kind of got it right. He's virtually going to be on the sidelines the whole game, is he not?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Except for that one time he's in the end zone. That's still. But if you do want to be in with a chance of getting into the listener league, leave your comment down below with your anytime touchdown scorer selection. Tom Collins, give us 3 winners for the Super Bowl.
Right, 3 winners, 3 player props. Graphic coming up. I don't know what side, this side or this side. Number 1.
It's over. Whoop, hello.
Number 1, Kareem Hunt. Over 11.5 rushing attempts. 10 to 11. Number 2, Noah Gray for the Chiefs again. Over 1.5 receptions. 23 to 20. Big price there. And number 3, and my play of the day in Super Bowl 59 this Sunday, Devontae Smith. Over 4.5 receptions at 10 to 11. No bet in the outright market. I do think the Chiefs will win, but they're my 3 player props.
Well, here is a bet for the outright market then, because I'm going to go in my 4 selections for the Super Bowl. I'm going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs on the money line. That's 4-5. I think the Chiefs take this game and they make it the 3-peat. I think Philadelphia will be fine, though. I think Dallas Goedert will have a good game. Over 50.5 yards for Dallas Goedert. As I say, Kansas City Chiefs, they've not been great against tight ends. Dallas Goedert's been fantastic in the playoffs. And then enter Xavier Worthy. Anytime touchdown is the first play for Xavier Worthy. That is 6-4. He scored in 4 of the last 5 games, and he will be used efficiently in the Super Bowl. Andy Reid always does that, and that leads us into the play of the day as well. I'm looking to go through the playoffs with winning plays of the day from start to finish. Xavier Worthy, over 5.5 rushing yards, I think is a real good play in the Super Bowl. That's at 10 to 11. Like I say, I think he'll have plays drawn up for him. I think he'll find the end zone. I think he'll be absolutely fine on the ground as well. A big game coming up from Xavier Worthy. And just like that, Tom, season's done.
Yeah, it's been a long road. It's been a good road as well. Both still in profit. I think you've actually passed me, which is very frustrating.
Have I actually?
I need to... Oh, well, I think so, but I need to double check it. I didn't add on... Go on.
I just remembered from our anti-post look, I've got the Chiefs at like 9-2 to win the Super Bowl.
You do, yeah. It's the last one that's outstanding, so best of luck.
Needed. needed.
Well,
I mean, I'm confident because I'm going back in at 4-5. But yeah, we've got actually, I'm going to take the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. I'm just going to hedge and get a winner.
a clear hedge. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't mind that by any means. Yeah, it's been a long year. We are doing, as you've already talked about, plenty of stuff in the off season. I'm sure there'll be something on free agency, that like a recap or something. There'll be a draft special where we talk about some bets going into the NFL draft. That's in April, and other stuff as well.
Mhm.
So stick around if you like NFL content. Obviously, we're back next year with the games too. Horse racing side of things, we've got one coming up, haven't we? We're recording tomorrow
We do.
for this weekend. So that will continue throughout the whole year. And just to remind a couple of things. Firstly, we're on the road to 500 subs. Please click that subscribe button down below. If we can get there by Sunday, that would be amazing. Secondly, Luke's already talked about, but comment your touchdown scorer to enter the Listener League challenge. And finally, SBK offers. We've already talked about bet £10, get £40 of free bets, and 50% bonus boost in the first touchdown scorer market. Link in the description below if you want to sign up there.
You're good at this presenting stuff.
Check me out.
I like it. You can come again. We'll be back possibly next week. We might take a week off from NFL stuff, but we'll be back pretty much every single week after that. Will be recapping the season, looking ahead to things, as Tom mentioned. So we are here for the entirety of the off season. If you want something casual to listen to and get your NFL fix, Turf and Touchdowns is the place for that. And as Tom says, we'll have horse racing stuff coming up later this week. Very best of luck, whoever you're siding with in the Super Bowl, whoever you're betting, whoever you're supporting. And on our socials, at Turf Touchdowns on Twitter, at Turf and Touchdowns anywhere else, send us your halftime meals. I want to know what food you're having throughout the Super Bowl. That's one of the best parts for me. So get in touch with us with that. We'll let you know what we're doing as well. Enjoy the Super Bowl until we next get to speak to you guys. Stay safe. Look after one another. Bye.